especially living in a world with the infected where, like I know people are saying you shouldn't laugh, but when they're talking about like, it's online, it's, buying stuff, and the people who grew up and born in this isolated fucking world of England, like have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, right? But it just goes to show like, that the experience is different for everybody. And then I think Jodie Comer, I think, stole this movie kind of thing, like with how her portrayal was done, right? Like, and I get why you're heartbroken and everything like that. Sometimes you can go home again, no matter how long it's been. We're talking movies. We're talking 28 years later, starring Jodie Comer and Aaron Taylor Johnson, directed by Danny Boyle. Chris, go find a place for her, a place of honor.
Boots, 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 moving up and down again. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? Today we're going to be talking about the new release from Danny Boyle, 28 years later. And to help us out is our good friend of the show, Heidy Morales, film critic, media critic, lady about town of the city of Toronto. Heidi, welcome back to the show.
Lady about town, okay. Thank you for having me. Nice to be back.
Yeah, we love having you here. So why don't you give, for all the audience that maybe just be tuning in, why don't you give them a rundown, a little shameless self-promotion of who you are, what you do, and what you've been up to?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I do have a website called Heidy's Musings. I talk about arts and culture, sometimes focused around Toronto happenings, but when it comes to film festivals, then I can have, coverage across other places too. And I'm also affiliated with the Blood in the Snow Film Festival, also here in Toronto as a programmer.
Fantastic, fantastic. Have you guys, before we get into the meat of this film, have any of you guys seen anything you want anybody to know about? I don't know, maybe like Life of Chuck or something, Scott?
Yes,
I did the TikTok about it. Yeah, I watched Life of Chuck, but I also the one I watched recently as well is Sling Song's new one, The Materialists,
Oh,
and
That's the one with the Big Daddy in it, isn't it? Pedro Pascal?
Pedro. Yeah. So first, if you are gonna go watch it in theaters, I do recommend glasses because your face might melt with how attractive everybody in that fucking movie is. Even the men, I'm like I don't go there, but maybe.
opportunity. Why not?
Yeah, but yeah, like Sling Song, like honestly, Nine Lives or Past Lives is the only other film I've watched from her. But after this one, I am like she's gonna be on my watch list. Like this one was really fucking good, and I hate rom-coms. Like Chris knows, like I fucking hate them.
Scott does not like rom-coms. I like a good rom-com.
Either. I don't.
Yeah, but this was like one of the most, I would say, authentic and like realistic, like kind of like rom-coms that I've seen in a while, that it like fucking impressed the shit out of me. So I definitely recommend that one.
Okay, and did you recommend for those who haven't seen our TikTok or the shorts on our YouTube channel?
Do it. Do it now.
Life of Chuck. You guys both saw Life of Chuck, right? So you guys want to give us a quick rundown on that? Just, I know it doesn't really fit with this genre, but it's a lot of talk around that film.
Let Scott go because you've seen it recently.
Okay. Well, it's like, yeah, I enjoyed Life of Chuck. It is, for me, I think the easiest way to explain it, it's kind of like wherever, it's like a song. Like no matter where you are in life, like it's gonna hit different. And the lyrics are gonna mean something different. Like it took me a little bit to get into it, but once I grasped the concept, It impressed me. I do think like where it got dropped in terms of theatrical release is going to hurt it, but I do think once it starts hitting streaming services that it's going to build up some steam. Like I enjoyed it. I think the cast was great, and fucking I wish I could dance like fucking Tom Hiddleston.
Right. Yeah. So I guess my caveat to that is I saw it at TIFF, so it's been a while. But I agree with Scott in the sense like I wasn't sure where it was gonna go, and I was pleasantly surprised. I will say it's not my favorite film from TIFF, but it was the Audience Choice Award winner, which makes sense. It has a lot of elements of why people love these kinds of movies, right? And I also was a fan of the dancing because I know Tom Hiddleston likes to dance, so it's not something outside of his element, but I think the casting was great. I like Chiwetel, I forget his last name now, but the black actor from the UK who's one of the lead characters in that film. I wasn't sure what that story was going to be about, but it surprised me. And then all of the unfolding that happens. I guess it's sort of that film that is multi-layered, and you kind of have to go with it in a way, no, Scott?
Yeah, I agree. It reminded me, do you remember Chris Fifth Business by it's the book, Canadian author Davies.
Robertson Davies?
Yes. It's kind of like that, like where people in your life that you have no that you don't realize how much you affect them without ever having like interacted with them in life. So that's why I enjoyed it.
So, I mean, that's those are all very interesting takes on that film. I feel like I should go watch it now.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
There's a whole backstory about that we're not going to talk about on the show. So to kind of transition into 28 years later, I did not watch Life of Chuck. I tried to watch the 2008 film Martyrs, the French psychological horror film. Okay, I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work around my exposure to genre films like Urge, and I'm like, okay, I can get into the deep end. Fuck no. Okay, Chris is still in the shallow end. This movie, Heidi, I feel like you've seen Martyrs, correct?
Yeah.
Scott, have you seen Martyrs?
I don't know. I would have to. It doesn't
It's
ring
a
a
French
bell.
film.
You would know if you saw this movie. You would
I know.
like. It's like torture porn, violence, but then it's somehow is bad at the beginning. It continues to get worse. Like, yeah, fuck. What's with the French? With French filmmakers, and they're just like, I want all the sexual violence. I want all the brutal violence. So much of the violence.
It's intense. I haven't seen it in a minute, but I will say that I took a friend to see this film when it came out, and he was like, "Why?
It's
Why?"
like
And this is somebody that I've seen a lot of genre, like literal horror films with over the years, and I was surprised. I mean, I'm not saying it was by the reaction, but I'm saying in a way, I was surprised, but at the same time, I'm not, because it really is an intense film, and the French do that kind of level of horror that you kind of have to go disinfect after. Like I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. And like, it's, so if you like visceral violence, like the type of violence where you can feel it, this movie, you're going to love this movie. I almost feel like taking a friend with this, at least you took a genre friend. I couldn't imagine taking like just like a normal person would be similar to like Travis Bickle taking his date to like a pornographic movie. You're just like, hey, you want to sit down and like watch this cool film? And then like 3 minutes in being like, why are we here? Why are we watching this fucking movie? Anyway, on that note, so yes, that I got a little out of my element when it came to genre. That said, we are now going to talk about 28 years later, and maybe some 28 days later and 28 weeks later. We're going to talk about 28 things. Scott, take us away.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to be with majority of critics on this one. Like if you're looking at the thermometer, I enjoyed this film, but I don't really compare it to any of the other ones because I think what this series does well. It just takes individual stories and just places it in the world. Like, you don't really have to watch any of the other entries to understand or enjoy it. And I did think they did a really good job on the pre-title card sequence that just kind of got you up to speed quickly, and like you just got fucking delved right into what this world and what's going to happen in it kind of go.
Heidi, what was your let's call this like your out of theater kind of reaction. What was your like first looks, first out of the theater? What was your vibe on this film?
Yeah, I would say I agree. I didn't go revisit the other two films either because I know that they kind of should exist on their own. At least that's how I see it. And I would say that I was a little bit moved by the film, which I wasn't really expecting, but I think it works the way that it's set up, and we're gonna get into this later, but I liked it. I thought it was definitely a different take on this zombie story, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it.
So Scott, I actually think that's a really great observation. The idea that like all the three films, so you got 28 Days Later from 2002, and then a couple years later they do 28 Weeks Later, and now you have like 28 years later. Is you have a world that's been built, and in 28 years later we see this world built out even more, which is nice. But you're right. It's like, it's not like we're necessarily trying to fucking follow the same character from movie one all the way through. There's just these like new stories that start. But in this, one thing, if you are a big fan of this series and you have watched it, there's all these little nods, like including like, and maybe it's just the way I was seeing it, was like, for example, the priest at the beginning of this film, 28 years later, obviously is not the same priest from 28 Days Later. But to me, they're little homages, right? It's also like in 28 Days Later, when he's asking for like a soda, he's like, oh, I can't remember what it's like, wink or something like that. Like, do you have that? And then in this film, you see a sign that has that soda on it. Like, there's just these little, like, hey, if you're like looking for Easter eggs, they're there, but they're not designed like, oh, they're necessarily tied in story-wise. They're just like, I see you. I see what you're doing there. So out of theater reaction, yeah, I really love this film. I tried to do a TikTok, and my fucking TikTok app was not working properly. But basically, my take on it was like, you'll be terrified, you'll laugh, and I fucking cried. I actually went and saw this movie again yesterday because I was like, all right. I want to make sure that like first off, I had the time, but also I wanted to make sure that like what I was going to say today was accurate. I wasn't in some just like weird, headspace or something. And I think you guys all know what section of the film, and we're going to do the best not to like spoil things, but like I got like physically like cried. Like I had tears in my eyes, had to take my glasses off, like wipe my eyes. I'm like, God, fuck. Like the only challenge I think that there's going to be with this film, and like right now you got an 89% from critics, which makes sense, and a 65% from the audience, is if you are going, and so this I think right now is something that's going to be very important if you haven't seen this movie, is that if you think you're just going to watch a zombie movie, you may feel like you're being misled or you're not getting like your money's worth. You do have a really good zombie movie in here, but they've actually done something better. This is, what would you call this? It's a drama. It's actually a drama where like, again, like the infected and the dystopian world are just barriers, but really this is like a family fucking drama at points. Like a very well written, like Garland has done a fantastic job writing this script. Okay, I'll kick it back to you guys. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like if you're looking at it, like this is kind of like homage to Romero, right? Like each one of his movies had something it was speaking to, whether it was commercialization and fucking Dawn of the Dead or whatever. But I think, yeah, like I think the other thing, like in terms of, because I was reading some of the reviews on Thermometer for like the audience that was bringing it down, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, Cillian Murphy's not in it," and they're giving it 1 stars, or they're like, "Oh, this is this doesn't resolve anything." Like you have to go in knowing that this film was intentionally broken up into two movies. Like the next part of this is coming out next year. But I think what it does do well, and I think is that family aspect where it, especially living in a world with the infected where, like, I know people are saying you shouldn't laugh, but when they're talking about, like, it's online, it's, buying stuff, and the people who grew up and born in this isolated fucking world of England, like, have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, right? But it just goes to show, like, that the experience is different for everybody. And then I think Jodie Comer, stole this movie, kind of thing, like, with how her portrayal was done, right? Like, and I get why you're heartbroken and everything like that.
Yeah. Heidi, what do you think of, like, what kind of film would you call this? Like, is it even still genre? Like, what like, kind of what Scott said, like, what's your take on him and on the acting as well? Because again, you have a really solid, actually, sorry, as far as cast, like, you're running with some pretty, like, you got Jodie Comer, you got Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes is in it, Jack O'Connell is in it, and then Spike, the young child. This is like basically his first feature, Alfie Williams. He did a little film called A New Breed of Criminal, but before I kick it back to you, Heidi, the other film is going to be called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and it's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta, which I'm super excited for because she did a great job not just with Littlewoods, but if you like the Candyman, the 2021 Candyman film, that's that director. Okay, Heidi, said a lot of stuff. Take away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still a genre film, and I think that's where I agree that maybe mainstream audiences are too used to horror or genre being just specifically around scary scenes. We have people chasing us with chainsaws, or some of the original films in this series also had a lot of really high action zombie chases. So if that's, to your point, Chris, if you're going in thinking that's what this film is about, definitely not. But I think this film kind of rides this line of psychological horror and drama, and within a zombie film, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, and I think in terms of how they use, like, the title and the timeline is perfect because 28 days later, yeah, you don't know what the fuck's going on because it's literally 28 days. 28 weeks later, you're like, what, 3 months later, you still don't know what's going on. But once you get to 28 years,
right,
like, you understand the world, and that's why they have all those balances, checks and measures going on, where you can see how in the quarantine zone of fucking the UK that they're able to survive the way they're able to survive, and how the infective have now technically kind of mutated, and how the virus has, like, moved and changed, which that's what I appreciate the most. Like, it's super, like, in-depth and psychological. Like, it's going through its natural progressions, kind of thing, where it's not just a retread of the first two movies.
Yeah, and
right,
like, I agree with you, Scott. Like, because these are yes, they are survivors, but they're not just surviving anymore. They're, like, living. They're, flourishing. Like, and I'm not both. That's both the uninfected and the infected. Like, you see, like you said, how the virus progressed and how it changed, and then how it mutated its subject matter, and then there's some other stuff. There's just a lot. This thing is like an ogre. There's a lot of layers to it, right? So, what did you guys have anything that really stuck out, like that, like scene wise or cinematography? Because I think you bring back the whole team. You got Danny Boyle directing, you got Alex Garland writing again, and even your DOP Anthony Mantle, who also works with Lars von Trier. He did, like, Antichrist and Dogville. Oh, and he also did one of my favorite films, Rush. But, like, these were the guys that are the team that originally did 28 Days Later. Oh, and actually Cillian Murphy is, I think, an executive producer. So, you guys, obviously you think that they did a good job. Did it meet expectations? Was it better than expectations? What are you thinking? Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll say I think it delivered I think on all aspects it does deliver. And again, leaving aside whether you want high zombie chases or not, I think it does have all the elements of a genre film, but also it's a good balance of there are moments where you are laughing and there are moments where there's so much tension and things seem so ominous that you're not sure what's going to happen. And to me, that's great because that's each audience member is going to have a different experience based on what they're seeing on screen. And I think that's good writing, but also good directing, right? Because it's a balance of what's on the page and also how you're working, especially with a young actor. Is it Alfie Williams?
Yes.
He is the one person where as audiences we're attached to in this film, right? Like even from the camera angles and the way that they're taking us, we are with him on the road in a way.
Yeah, he's definitely the main protagonist, right? So.
Right, but that's also so then we're also kind of forced in a way to take that his point of view as well, right? So we're also being forced to think of what this 12-year-old is going through. So it is a coming of age film, it's a family film, and I think another thing that I liked about it, and I think I read it in an interview, is that they're trying to explore this idea of coming of age, but your parents or the adults around you aren't always telling you the truth or giving you misinformation, right? So when you say there are layers, those are things that I think I appreciated from the storyline of he has to make his own choices, some of which are not always going to be, I guess, approved by his parents, right?
So right now we got a $60 million budget. It did $5.8 million on its opening weekend. Oh, fuck, man. My concern is that it doesn't recoup. I don't know. Do you guys think, I don't know, man, $6 million over a weekend is not fantastic in these day and age. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to do the work or what?
I think it's going to make its money, no? What do you think, Scott?
Yeah. I think this will be like a word of mouth kind of thing, but also the one thing I did want to say, just because from what we were saying before, Chris, because I never got to say my point of view with your question. Sorry. It's okay. The one thing I fucking loved, and especially knowing about it now, is how the original film was one of the first films done digitally. And they fucking filmed this movie with my phone. It was filmed with an iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Yeah. Well, it was not just. It was primarily shot with that. They did use drones and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I literally have fucking the camera in my hand right now. And all I do is fucking not that. It's not this, right? So I think
Scott's just doing his doing thirst traps over on his other page.
Yeah,
spicy page.
I'm trying. But yeah, are you sure it's just 5 million over the weekend and not just opening?
Well, that's the numbers I have as of the time of recording the weekend. We are recording this the weekend it opened. So there's still, I don't know if the numbers from Saturday night have been reported. We'll have all of Sunday. So again, that there's a big asterisk on that number. The other thing, just on the topic of cameras, I feel like Heidi might be also looking up numbers because they can see her on her keyboard. So yeah, this is shot primarily with the iPhone 15 Pro. 28 days later, it was shot using the Canon XL1 digital camcorder. It wasn't even just a digital film camera, it was a digital camcorder. I think that when you get into these kind of interesting camera options, it allows you a ton of flexibility. I mean, Sean Baker has done this. Finchner's done this. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other directors and stuff that I'm not aware of that have done this, where you stop using the big cameras all the time, and it lets you be much more flexible. You can get in there and get some really tight shots. You also just can move faster, right? So,
yeah, Chris, I think you're mistaken, man.
Okay,
I have just Friday alone it making 14 million.
Oh, okay, cool, perfect.
And that's just domestically, not internationally.
Okay,
Nice.
Okay. Is that what you're getting there too, Heidi?
I didn't even get to it because something just fell behind me. So
okay, well then that's good. If we're doing 14 or 20 million or something like that, then
it's big.
And again, and we haven't even had all of Sunday, and maybe if that's even, and that's just Friday, you said, Scott?
Yeah, from what I see on Box Office Mojo, just domestically 14 million just on Friday.
Okay.
So Yeah, and this was
I bet you they're going to need to do
movie.
120 because I do feel like there was a pretty big media push for this, at least with the trailer. And did any of you guys go to see it? Any press screenings that had popped up for this? Not that you had gone, but
No.
like
No.
no. So
I also this is one film that I wanted to watch for myself anyway, so I think that's also why I kind of waited for opening weekend.
do you have any criticisms of the film?
Criticisms?
I mean, the length is good. It's 115 minutes. I mean, it didn't feel sluggish at any. The fucking edit, like everybody, sound design, the editor, cinematographer, director, like everything about this feels like it's working. Like I personally did not have any issues with this film myself. But yeah, Heidi, what do you think?
I don't know. I guess I don't really have like personal issues or things that I'm, keeping me up at night, but I do see why people think there are gaps in it. There are scenes when you're like, wait a second, why is he not being chased, in this open field? So I'm not giving a lot away because it's in the trailer. So there are little gaps here and there, but I think those are things that people might just kind of hook onto for sakes of criticism.
And there is big tonal changes, but I think that those tonal changes work, in my opinion. I think that they write it properly. You get these sections that are done in a certain way, and then it's like, we need to tell a different part of this story, so we need different tone. And then I will kick it to you, Scott. I won't forget this time. This movie has so much tension. Like, when I left this film, I was exhausted. Like, kind of the way I was at Fury Road, but for different reasons. And I think that those tonal changes, when they happen, are really important because they like allow your like central nervous system to like relax, and then other things kick in, other emotional triggers happen, right? So what about you? So Scott?
Criticism?
Yeah.
No, like I enjoyed it. I wouldn't really change much. For me, I didn't find this terrifying at all. But the one thing, I think they did a good job with the jump scares. So fuck cats. Like there shouldn't be any cats left. 28 years later, there shouldn't be any cats left. But yeah, I did enjoy that. Yeah, pacing was good, acting was good. Yeah, I think the alphas, penis could have been bigger.
Yeah, boy.
But that's just
That's why they're the alpha, baby. That's why they're the alpha.
I know.
Yeah,
That thing should have been swinging down by the knees while he was running.
I've heard they're digitally enhanced. That's all I'm saying on that. I will make an observation though, if I'm allowed. This is a very British film, right? Like when you think about it. So I was speaking about this film with a friend of mine who, for those of you who are seeing this, I'm visibly not white. For those of you who are hearing this, I'm Latina and I will never pass as white. So, but I do love these films because there's always something relatable in terms of a universal story. But I was telling a friend of mine who's Caribbean, and we were talking about how, we're able to pick up elements in these films, even though it's not of people living in our cultures. But I also saw a lot of criticism. I'm going to bring this back to you, Chris, about Sinners, right? And how there are concerns about certain aspects of scenes in those films that are made primarily by Black filmmakers or other cultures, and how, audiences have been used to seeing films that like this one, which I think I still enjoy and I recommend a lot, but not exposed to stories from other cultures that I think are also important. So that's sort of like my 2 seconds on a soapbox.
Sorry, but I having listened to your soapbox, sorry, what's the criticism? That it's
There's
too
no
white,
criticism.
basically?
I'm not saying that. It's an observation.
No,
that I
okay,
think
fair. No, that's fine. I'm not trying to be
it's an
adversarial.
observation.
Do you
So
mean
the
that it's
idea
too
is
British?
that there's a lot in this. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it being too British. It makes sense.
Okay.
It's set in Britain, right?
Yeah.
So this is where it was contained. But what I'm saying is when we're thinking of film criticism and how we consume films, this is what a lot of audiences have been exposed to, these level of films in genre specifically. So when we see genre films or films that have elements of genre that come from other filmmakers that are not white, they're scrutinized a little bit differently or criticized a little bit more. So that's sort of my observation that I'm seeing, not in this room, virtual room, but just when I look at notes when I'm preparing for like interviews and things like that. So I think, and my friend and I were having that discussion yesterday. So it's kind of made sense to bring it here.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
get what you're. I was gonna say I get what you're saying, Heidi. Chris is 100% wrong about singers. I
I
like
wasn't
how we
saying
went to.
that though.
I like how we're getting full circle there. He was 100%
I mean, we
wrong.
could put another circle on top. Jack O'Connell, who plays Jimmy,
Oh
also in
yes,
Sinners.
that was actually going to be my point, right? That I thought, what an interesting contrast of roles. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in that next installment of this 20-year
Okay, I don't want
date.
to. We're not going to disclose, but I do want. That ending was fucking awesome, right? Like, can we agree that's a fucking awesome ending, or
Like
no?
the choreography on it,
Whatever, just the whole.
Uh,
The costume design, the like dialogue. I was like, it's another. It was another tonal shift, right? And you're just like it reminds me of like Kill Bill, like the do 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 do, just the like crazy insanity of this ending. It's like, so yeah. I don't know. Heidi, did you like the ending?
I didn't this I don't mind it because I actually figured, okay, they threw all this like dark stuff at us. So it's now kind of makes sense that we're gonna go somewhere else because we need to know what this journey is gonna go, right? But I have seen, I think, with Scott's point about like commentaries from audiences, some people are not liking this abrupt tonal change in the end.
Well,
I don't
those
know what
people
you.
can fuck off. You finally get a good fucking movie that we've been anticipating, and it's well done and well written and well directed and care and attention. Just fucking like the goddamn movie, okay? So many
calm down,
letdowns.
Chris.
So many movies let you down.
You
This-
want us to like the films you like and hate the ones you just.
yes, correct. Absolutely correct.
so-
Thank you, Heidi, for finally getting on my wavelength.
So
Yeah,
back to the
okay.
cultural thing.
Let's go back, Scott.
But yeah, like in terms of the ending, like the thing that I fucking loved the most was the Jimmy reveal, right? Because I'll be honest, like I thought it was
Careful.
always gonna.
Careful with what
No,
you're
no,
doing.
I thought it was. I always thought it was just Aaron Johnson.
Okay.
Aaron
Still, be
Taylor
careful with
Johnson,
what you're
right?
fucking doing because the audience is listening to this and not.
No. Like I thought it was gonna be him. Like in terms of like the hero,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like based on where you saw like kind of hit
Oh,
where
yes.
he was left,
Mhm.
I thought it was gonna be him, right? And then once you had the Jimmy reveal, I was pleasantly surprised.
Supposedly, Cillian Murphy's coming back for the next film, and as his character. And this is all public knowledge. So, I mean, if you were sad that he wasn't in this one, he'll be in the next one. Make sure you go and watch this one so they have the money to make the next one. Although I did hear did they shoot them back to back?
Yes,
Yeah, so
already
it
done.
might not be Bone Temple. There might be a third one.
Oh, okay.
They might make this into a trilogy.
I mean, that'd be
From
cool.
what I
mean,
read.
I like. And again, we can start wrapping this up in case there's we can start wrapping this up if there's other stuff you guys want to talk about. But now that we're starting to build out this new world, and we also know some stuff about what's going on in the rest of the world. Like, man, you have just created yourself a magic kingdom that you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want in, and it's sort of like infected Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? You can have all kinds of crazy adventures, and like you said at the beginning of the show, Scott, like. You could just start another movie with a totally different town, totally different character, and fucking you can do whatever you want. And I think that's a great opportunity to have as a writer or a filmmaker, right? So
Yeah, like if you're going like ballerina style, like you can
please
something...
don't do that. Please don't.
No, what I mean is you can set something between 28 weeks and 28 years, because like 28 weeks ends with them running at the Eiffel Tower. So how did they push it back?
Yes.
Like you could have that story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Heidi, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we finish up here?
About the film itself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to talk about just like your day-to-day life. You can. I don't know how many people.
No, I'm talking about this film, I guess. No, I was going to say I wanted to point out, because I am a nerd, the astrophotography. I looked at the credits. There's a beautiful night scene in the film. There's some running involved, and they actually involved someone from one of the observatories in the northern UK. So I kind of wanted to point that out as a really nice kind of techie thing that they added, and it's also very much of where they were trying to film. So I like the fact that they kept it local and they worked with local folks too. The other thing I was going to say, if you're wanting to watch a film that is similar in terms of having young protagonists in sort of this survival mode, there's a film by a Mexican filmmaker called Parvulos, Children of the Apocalypse, that should be streaming somewhere. And instead of one young person, it's three siblings.
Scott, anything else to wrap us up?
No. I think we're all in agreement that you're still wrong about Sinners, and everybody should watch this movie.
And everybody should watch it in the theater, right, Heidi?
Oh, yeah. I would definitely recommend.
As I said in the TikTok that I could release, zombie fast run, don't walk to your local cinema. I'm going to finish up with Peter Howell from the Toronto Star. Though narrative logic insists these creatures and this movie shouldn't exist, the aforementioned brutes are strange, creepy, and fascinating in a well-acted and boldly written and directed film that alternatively horrifies, edifies, and stymies.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
Hey, so what did you think of Ralph Fiennes' character in here? I mean, the guy that played like Eamon Gott in Schindler's List, Voldemort, and was just in Conclave. Like, and then you see him pop up. I was like, oh, interesting casting choice. Did you like him as the Doctor?
Yeah, like I think his reveal was fucking interesting, and the fact that the iodine thing, like they bring it up, but they never actually explain it. Like it fascinates me. I'm assuming he's supposed to be like a major part of the Bone Temple that's supposed to be released. So I'm hoping we get more of his backstory. But yeah, he was fucking compelling.
Yeah, Heidi.
I'm a Ralph Fiennes fan, so I was pleasantly surprised. I think he does talk a little bit about the iodine, though, about it having something that's repulsive about it. I don't think they go into detail as to how, but I think
the virus very much does not, like, iodine is a very good prophylactic for it, right? Like, or protection from the virus.
So, yeah, I think I wasn't sure what that character was going to be like because of what we heard in the beginning in terms of going back to the point of what adults tell children, right? Like, the young boy, Spike, was told certain things about this Ralph Fiennes character. So it's interesting that he had to go and see for himself. I like that part of that journey in that film of he has to go see for himself and kind of get some answers. And Ralph Fiennes is sort of kind of those, voice of wisdom in a way.
Mm-hmm. And, prophylactics, not just for your penis anymore.
Oh, God.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.